Let's see how the gas fee and slippage work in Mizar bots and how to set them up. You can set up your gas fee and slippage by simply clicking on this section on the buy side or this section on the sell side. Let's start with the buy. On Solana, you need to set a priority fee. This is the fee you pay to the block validator to execute your transaction. It is expressed in Solana. On other chains like BNB or Base, it is expressed in Gwei, but the concept is more or less the same. Since the bot trades quite frequently, which is different from manual trading, we recommend using a very low priority fee. Mizar is one of the fastest bots when it comes to buying after a drop. Most of the time, we land on block 0, meaning we buy immediately after the drop happens, or at most on block 1, meaning our transaction is included in the very next block after the drop. This normally works even with a very low priority fee, because this depends mostly on how fast Mizar sends the transaction on-chain. After that, the priority fee only decides your execution position inside the same block. If your priority fee is very high, you will likely be among the first buyers in that block. If your fee is low, you might be the 10th, 20th, or later. However, within a single block, there usually aren't many buyers, so this rarely changes your entry price significantly, especially on tokens with high liquidity, such as above $100,000 to $200,000. If your priority fee is too low, however, it can happen that you execute later than others, or that your transaction is postponed to later blocks, or your transaction fails because it goes in timeout or because of your slippage protection. We recommend starting between 0.0002 and 0.0001 Sol, which is about 1 cent of a dollar, and then increasing it if you see too many failed transactions. We also recommend checking your trades directly on the Mizar chart, where you can review all transactions and see your placement within the block. We will show this in another video. Now let's look at slippage. Slippage is a protection that prevents you from buying at a price that is too far away from the price you intended. For example, if you set a slippage of 10%, your transaction will fail if the execution price is more than 10% higher than the drop price. This can happen especially on low liquidity tokens, when other buyers execute before you in the same block and the available price moves higher. A 10% slippage is usually a good default. Some users use 15% when trading smaller tokens. Others use 5% when they want higher precision, but that also increases the probability of failed transactions. You can also enable MEV protection on Solana, which means your transaction is executed through a private node. This protects you from issues such as being sandwiched. To use this, you must pay an extra fee called a bribe amount. This is an additional incentive paid to the private validator to prioritize and execute your transaction directly. If you are trading small amounts, most users do not use MEV protection, and we also see very few sandwich attacks on Solana. It becomes a balance between how much risk you want to take and how much extra you want to pay per trade. We do not recommend paying more than 5 cents per transaction if you are trading amounts below 1 Sol, because the extra speed usually does not justify the higher cost. However, if you are trading larger amounts, it can make sense to increase the gas fee to 15 cents, $1, or even more to ensure your transaction never fails and is always placed high in the block. The exact same concept applies to the sell side. We strongly recommend reviewing your gas fees and slippage regularly because they depend heavily on market conditions. In low-volume markets, a very small fee like 1 cent is often enough. During high activity and congestion, however, you may not be able to buy or sell if your fee is too low. In those cases, you should increase your bot's gas settings.